hauora mai runga, hauora mai raro, hauora mai roto, hauora mai waho. Hauora te pūtaki o tēnei kaupapa ki a pūrangi aho tātou I te wānanga me te kōrero. Tēnei te titi ake te pau hauora ki te pūtaki o tēnei wānanga. Tūturu uwhi te whakamawa kia tīna, tīna, haumie, uie, taiki e. E mihi ana ki a tātou, tātou kua whakakotahi mai ki te kaupapa o Matariki hauora, celebration of youth, whānau and workplaces, kai and kōrero. Tēnā koutou, tēnā rā tātou katoa. Tauranga moana, maua o maunga, nā te rangi nui, nei te rangi, nā te pukenga, e tau nei. He taha tōku pāpā no nai te rangi, nā te pukenga, no nā te rangi nui, me te aroa o ku iwi, no nā pōtiki tuku hapu, no tauranga moana, tauranga tangata. He taha tōku māma no Stilo, Whitehorn, Denison, and the Kazakh families. So kia ora, my name is Tuihana Ohia. I hail from Te Arawa, so Rotorua, and tauranga on my papa's side, and on my mama's side, I'm Northern Irish, English, Scottish, German and French. So it's beautiful to be here with you today, and I'm really excited to be, I don't know, facilitating this webinar, talking into this webinar. I always say it's a little bit nerve-wracking because I can't see anyone's faces, but luckily Raylan's there, so Ray's there, so she's going to keep me on the path. What I'd really love to do, whānau, before we get into the session, before you hear from me and I have to do my kōrero for the next 40 or 45 minutes or whatever it may be, I'd really love us to just take a moment to nourish ourselves. And the greatest nourishment that we can give ourselves is to actually just do some is to do some breath work. So what I'm going to ask you to do, and I know some of you may be eating and kei te pai, you keep on having your kai, but what I'd really love you to do is to just get really comfortable in your turu, in your seat, or wherever you happen to be. Just really try and relax those shoulders a little bit. You might want to do a couple of sighs, it's up to you, but I'd really love you to just shut down your karu, close your eyes, or keep them open, whatever makes you feel comfortable at this time. Place your feet onto papatūānuku and just really feel into your tinana. We often underestimate the beauty and the gift of our breath. Because I always say in jest that if we're not breathing, then we're with our ancestors, we're with our tūpuna. So it's really good that we be able to take these breaths, and I think we underestimate the value of this gift that is given to us every day, of every minute, of every second. So what I ask you to do is get comfortable, shut down your eyes, and just breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. And when you breathe in, I want you to think about taking your breath from your petal, from your puku, from your belly button. And if you've got any niggly little things going on, is to send that breath to those niggly bits, you know, whether that be in your tinana, whether it be in your thoughts. But also, if you feel like your brain's a bit wee wah, you're all over the place coming into the session today, is to just quieten it. You can quieten all that noise, all that cacophony with your ha, with your breath. Ka pai? So breathe in through your nose. And out through your mouth, or you might want to just breathe in through your nose and out through your nose. But as you breathe in, think about how that breath is really nourishing you, your tinana at this time. And when was the last time actually that you stopped and took some really good nourishing breaths for you? And as you take those breaths for yourself, you might want to also take them for your whānau and actually send them out to the people that are in this session with us today. Just keep breathing. We're just going to take our time, whānau. There is no rush today. Taking it in from the pito, breathing that out. Take 3 more breaths. And then when you're done, you might just want to do a little bit of a shake. Take your time. Beautiful. Now I'm going to ask you to please, in the chat, put one kupu, one word that describes how you're coming into this space today. I noticed that Ray was quite, oh, do I close my eyes or do I not close my eyes? And, you know, one kupu to describe how you're coming into that open, beautiful Kathy. How are others coming into the space? They're interested. Great, Chris. Free. Oh, I love that, Deborah. Full of aroha. Beautiful, grateful, beautiful. Open, lovely. Relieved. Scattered. Ka pai, Marianne. Beautiful. Anticipative. Reflective, embracing, beautiful. Loving all these kapurere. Harikwa. Oh, joy. Thoughtful. Beautiful. Love that. Love that. Matariki really is such a beautiful time. And this morning I'm wee wawa. Oh, I use wee wawa quite a lot, aroha. But this last night I felt a bit wee wawa. It's been a big day today, and there's still more to come. And actually the next 3 weeks, there's quite a lot as we lead into Matariki. And so I sat with my niece, and she's 5, and I wrote out notes, and I don't know if you can see, but she drew me a beautiful little love heart. She said, Auntie, I'm going to draw you a love heart. And she was writing in Te Reo Māori, and I was writing in English, and she was asking me how to. I said, how do I write 1? And I said, one, because I knew she'd understand it if I put it into using Māori. And she was like, so she wrote it, and she goes, but how do you spell it in English? And I said, no, you've spelled it in English, And then she was helping me with some of the kupu that I wanted to utilize today. And I just want to say that her father was there too, and I said to him, tell me again what the colours of all the stars mean, all the whitu of Matariki. The reason I asked him is because my cousin worked on the Matariki design that we all see. He was the lead designer working with Professor Rangi Mātamua on the colour of the stars and the whitu, of which we've all become quite familiar with. And so we had a good kōrero about some of the meaning of some of the whitu. And so we had and it was a lovely, whānau little session, my niece sitting there and my other niece sitting here on my lap, nicking on my lipstick, and trying on all the lip glosses. And it was such a beautiful time. And I just thought, I'm not going to rush this today. I'm not going to, we're not in a race today. So I just ask that you be really present during this webinar and that we don't race through it. Ka pai? And I'm going to ask for some interaction today. So, because Matariki does provide us this beautiful opportunity to celebrate our journey, because very few times do we celebrate the year that's been, and all that we've navigated over the 12 months, whether that be with yourself, whether that be with your whānau, whether that be in your workplace, and reflect. It's a beautiful time to consider how we might replenish ourselves. It's a beautiful time to nourish. So, through reflection, and I hope that some of you bought kai today and that you're feasting, that you're having a kai, because if you're eating, that means we're feasting together, which actually really leads itself to the kaupapa and the theme of Matariki for 2024, which is Matariki Hera Kai, the Feast of Matariki. And there was and I jumped onto the website and we had a little look, and it was Matariki Whitu Hei Kai, or He Kai, Matariki, the bringer of food. That's the little, that's what it's all about. Because when you think about Matariki, and when you think about kai, I know for my whānau, both my taha Pākehā side and my taha Māori side, food was an opportunity to all have a conversation, to come together as one. It was also about sharing lessons and sharing mātauranga, so also sharing some knowledge. And it's such a great time, Matariki. It's such a great time. So whether you make opportunities to set a kai, or have a kai with friends, or have a kai with whānau, or have a kai with your loved one, or with your niece, or whoever it may be, this is a beautiful time to do that. It's also a really beautiful time to set intentions and to set goals for the year ahead. Now, today I'll share with you a little bit about my year that's been. And it's interesting because even in the short time, if some of you were on the webinar at Christmas, to even now, I feel there's been a significant growth within myself. I know that much. So we are going to spend some time reflecting, because really my mahi is just to miri, to romi, all the beautiful things that are within each of us. It's to give consideration to how we've really managed all this cacophony, and there's a lot of cacophony going on at the moment. We've got a very challenging government. Not everybody would consider them challenging. I personally consider them quite challenging, and we're like, what else? What else? We've got high rates of cost of living and all sorts of things going on for us. It's kind of layers upon layers. And, how do we find strength in these times when we feel adversity, when we're challenged? Like, I know I'm particularly challenged at the moment, by this government. And I think about all of you. I think about all of you that are working in the community space. I think about all of you working in the non-for-profit and the charity spaces. And I think, this is a time when you've probably got a lot of people coming to you, a lot of whānau who are seeking some kind of guidance or help of some kind, or assistance. They're looking for spaces to heki their wairua, to lift up their wairua. And so I just want to mihi to each of you that are in this session today, and for all the work and all the aroha that you bring to your mahi that you do. So as we seek the path of approaching the new year, how do we celebrate those moments of harikwa, those joyful moments, and the whiriko moments, where we've seen the glimmers and we've seen the glitter and we've seen the sparkle. And if you know me, I love a bit of glitter. I love a bit of sparkle. Okay. I reckon my middle name should have been, whiriko, because I reckon I like to think I'm the personification of sparkly. And then in our wahi mahi, in our place of work, how are we enriching ourselves? How are we enriching our whānau? Excuse my iPad doing that. It's a bit freaky, I know. And our workplaces. So people always saying, what's the silver bullet? What's the answer? What I would encourage you in your workplaces to think about, how can you, when Kai is a celebration and Kai is the theme for Matariki in 2024, how can you have that kaitahi in your space, in your place? How can you bring everyone together? That, you know, and you could do that with whānau, and you could do that in your workplaces. I know I sent out a little chat to all my cousins. There's about 46 of us. And I said, anyone home being tauranga, anyone home for Matariki, this Matariki? If so, does anyone keen to have a kaitahi? You know? Because Matariki in the morning sky would often determine whether the feasting or whether the kai was going to be good or not so good. And I just want to, when I went onto the site today, and we can share that site with you, matariki.com, there's these beautiful hauora, and I looked at them and I reflected on them. And I thought to myself, wow, we're actually going to be in this space today for our webinar. So, aroha, we love and respect for one another in this space. Kotahitanga, because we're all uniting. Nohotahi, we're all coming together as one. Toha toha, we're all sharing. You'll hear a lot from me, but we've shared in the chat and we're going to share again. Ka pai? We're feasting, we're having a hakari. Some of us might be having a hakari now, and some of us might be planning hakari with family, with friends, with our workplaces. We're going to wānanga, we're going to be discussing, or I'm going to be talking to you. And we're going to do that from a place of atawhaitanga, of kindness. And we're also going to do it from a place of whakanui, of celebration. Ka pai? And in all of that, we are mindful of mana taiao, the environment that surrounds us. Whakamaumaharatanga, those that have passed before us. And tuakiritanga, our identity. Just going to take a moment to let that all just settle in. Matariki ki kainga Ohia was the theme for last year, when we were asked to return to the place that we call home. We were asked, I'm going to try not to get emotional. It'd be great to get through one webinar without crying. We were asked to spend time with family and friends and to enjoy and feasting. But I'd really love to hear from each of you. What is it that you want to celebrate from the year that's been? What has been a moment of joy for you in the past 12 months? What is it in amongst the wee and wā that you've had those beautiful moments where things have glimmered and shimmered? I want you to take a moment to ask yourself those questions. We're just going to take a moment to pause. Do you know that was a minute? There's only but a minute. And off to my left-hand side here, I pulled out this beautiful little calendar, which tells me what day it is today in the maramataka. It's okoro, which is to be mindful and present. What I'd love you to do in the chat is to ask yourself, or to put in the chat, because you have asked yourself, what were those moments of celebration? Share with us one moment of celebration. Share with us one moment of harikwa that you've had in the past 12 months. Thank you, Lorna. I'll share with you mine. Shall I? Hopefully it'll encourage you to share yours. Beautiful. Beautiful. Here we go. Finding spaces of connection and belonging in my rongoa studies. Beautiful aroha. The successful opening of a project build, been going on for 2 years. Growth with my tamariki. Thank you. My daughter's graduation was a huge one for me. Beautiful. Planting trees. Gorgeous. Had a bit of a celebration a couple of weeks ago. They're cuddling all your grandsons. Or celebration of birth of 2 moko. Wow, that's cool. Celebrating my eldest daughter's 21st. Yes, I celebrated my son's 21st. One of my sons. I've got 3. These are all moments of joy. It's so easy for us to get caught up in the cacophony, but what are the moments of joy? My moment of joy has been actually celebrating my son's 21st in April. It was beautiful. And actually, my other, celebrating 60th anniversary of my parents is awesome. Also, I really found a lot of joy over Raumati over summer. We had lots of whānau. We went to Pilot Bay and we watched our kids swim, and we had barbecues, and we had lots of times when the family came together. It was really, really beautiful. I really enjoyed it. And it gave so many glimmers, to so many beautiful things. So that's gorgeous. I really love hearing about those moments of harikwa and whiriko. Sailing on to Moana with my papa. Oh, how beautiful, Moana. How beautiful. Now tell me, this may be a challenging question. Where have you found joy in your mahi? You know, moments like delivering these webinar sessions bring me so much joy. Because you inspire me as much as I may inspire you. But where in the last year have you found those moments of joy within your workspace? Ah, beautiful. I've just resigned from my job. I still am, till the 19th of July, kai whakahaere hauora no Te Kaunihiri o Tāmaki Makaurau, so the Wellbeing Manager at Auckland Council. But resigning, while it was both emotional, it's also given me an incredible amount of joy because I have this amazing team. And I know that they're going to have an amazing, amazing time ahead. I've planted the seeds. Now it's an opportunity for someone else to water those seeds and to grow the team even further. And knowing when your job's done for the time being. I just want to read out, having moments of heart connection with whānau that I work with, connecting with so many incredible people in community, engaging with colleagues and friends, and we problem solve the political challenges. Beautiful. Seeing those that I tautoko succeed. I love all of that. I love all of that. Working with the team to put te tiriti first. Political action. I love that, Kate. You know, in times like this, and we reflect on joy, and whiriko. One thing I would love to for you to think about when you do feel a bit wee wah wah, as Aroha expressed when I asked for some kupu as you came in, is to think about what does their resources, like www.matariki.com is a resource, a podcast is a resource, websites are resources. There's lots of resources, but my pātai to each of you is how do you resource yourself? Where is it that you go to plug in to fill your cup back up, to heke your wairua? The last year, to be honest with you, I'm going to share, at Christmas time, I was really quite done. I'd had probably one of the most challenging years of my life, probably the most challenging. And it had been so incredibly heavy, and it had been so incredibly sad. And I remember going into Christmas thinking, oh my gosh, like feeling like I was just crawling into Christmas, like the last of my energy levels. And it can feel a bit like that at the moment as we go into Matariki. I'm like, I feel quite tired. We've got a change of season happening, But also there's joy that comes with Matariki. But crawling into Christmas, crawling into Christmas. I'm thinking, I'm just so tired. I'm so tired. And there were so many kupu that I felt like it crushed my mana and really pulled, really were just so, they weren't mana enhancing. But then I go into summer and today mati with whānau, with friends. It's very hard for me actually when I go to Tauranga to come out of Tauranga when the weather's so beautiful there and it's such a beautiful place to be. And I was like, where do I resource myself? And one of the places where I go to resource, to find the source that fills my cup, and I've probably shared this before, and I unapologetically share it again, is my urupa, is a urupa back home. But really, raumati, going back to the moana, going back to taumata, the whenua from where we come from, being near the marae, being near my cousins, being near whānau, that just really replenishes me. And recently, I closed down a company. And I launched a new one with a new brand. And boy, was I done. I was so done. It had been from the end of February to the end of May, filming podcasts, rebranding. It was just full on. And I wanted it to be done before Matariki, so that when Matariki came around, it was like a new time. Because for me, it was about just acknowledging the love of the past, but actually welcoming the love of the new. But I was done. We launched May the 21st, and for the next 10 days, I was unwell because I was just like, so where did I go? I went home. I went back to Tauranga for the King's long birthday weekend and cloned mobile, and I slept on my auntie's couch. My auntie and I cooked kaya together, and it just like really, really replenished me. So if we're thinking about the cacophony of these times, where is it that you find that strength? Where is it that you find that space to fill up your cup? And we've shared a bit of that, right? Through cousins, through family, through mokopuna. I also know that I do gratitude journaling every day. Beautiful. Te mōkai, te whakatau mai wairua by connecting with my whenua through our waiata puna and awa doing this with my whānau. Thank you, Jordan. That's beautiful. It's beautiful. Yeah. I recently went and had a swim under Rākau Nui. Oh, it was freezing cold, but boy, did it feel amazing coming out. Yeah, I'm loving how everybody's sharing in the chat. Yeah, so where do you resource yourself? I know I can't always get home to Tauranga, so I wear my nana's, gave me this pounamu, and then I wear my Granny McKissick's ring on my finger. It's really beautiful. So I ask, when you think about celebrating yourself and you celebrate your whānau, and we're celebrating our workplaces today, also, my question is do you have a goal for the next year? Oh, resource, yes, that's a Louise Mara word. I have to acknowledge Louise Mara. If you've not ever listened to her, she's quite amazing. So what are some of your goals and ambitions for the year ahead? Both with your mahi, with yourself, and with your whānau. If I think about myself, I'd love to fall in love again. That's me being completely honest with you. I'd love to fall in love again. I'd love to be stronger. And with regards to my whānau, with my sons in particular, I look forward to seeing my sons really thrive and be independent. I look forward to watching their journey over the next year. And in terms of workplace, well, I've become my workplace. So for me, it would be about my workplace being abundant. And it doesn't necessarily mean abundance with more putia, but abundance of doing this work. Oh yeah, I love that. Planting more trees. Absolutely. Absolutely. So if I was to ask you to also, maybe this is another partai for each of you, is how are you going to celebrate those? Because we're really quick to kind of go, oh yeah, that was great, and move on to the next thing. But what would it feel like to pause and actually take the time to celebrate? Just reading some of the chat, more balance between doing and being. Yes. Adapt to new life. As I know, I will be moving to a different home and face loss of some things I love nearby now. Yeah. There's also opportunity in that, Chris, though, to explore and find new things, which is quite exciting. In the cacophony of things, what I've learned to be quite a gift is when you hear something or when you feel something that can be quite crushing, can feel crushing to you, is to actually flip it. So there were some words that I really heard that were really hurtful. And at the time, I remember feeling so, and then I just came to a point where I just flipped it, where I just changed it. And I thought, actually, it's a gift and it's driving me. It's really driving me. And as I go into Matariki, while I do go in a little tired, I'm also going in with a whole lot of joy and many things to celebrate. Because even in those moments of where it has felt taumaha heavy and pōti sad, there have been opportunities to learn from that, to gain knowledge from those things that have felt sad hard. Yeah. There's moments in there. There's moments in there. So I'm excited about Matariki. I'm excited about all that it brings, all that it gives us and gives us. And I love how somebody in the chat said, I want to think more about being rather than doing. Yeah. Remaining centered and calm rather than getting caught up in stress that is often self-created. Yeah. And can I just say that? And it's often the things that are around us. I mean, I was talking to a lovely chap yesterday, lovely Tani, and he was talking about how he finds the moana so replenishing. And I was like, when we think about Aotearoa as a country, we're really lucky. We've got so many natural resources. The tile is such a gift for us. We can get to a maunga, we can get to the ngahere, we can get to the moana, we can get to an awa really quite quickly. We're very fortunate. So often one tip, and I think that Jordan shared this too, is that when we are feeling wee wawa, is to return ourselves or go back into nature. And if you're thinking, oh, well, I don't have time to take the drive, take your shoes and socks off and plant them on Papatuanuku. Just take in 3 deep breaths. If you've only got a minute, you've only got a minute. Also, if you don't have the opportunity to go outside, is to focus on your breath. Also, why? Water. You can whakatau yourself with water. You can drink it, but water is a cleanser. So there's all these things that we have. And I might have spoken about these before. You might have heard these before. But this is just a good reminder of what we already have at our fingertips. Those cuddles with your mokopuna, those cuddles with your children. Yeah. Yeah. I love that, Leanne. And sometimes when you are in those moments of conflict or battles, like, okay, this particular government I find particularly challenging. And there's lots of reasons for that. Culturally, I find it challenging. As an Indigenous person of Aotearoa, I find them challenging. It makes you want to stand up, tino rangatiratanga, mana motuhake. But what I found is that actually it's given me more of a voice. I feel stronger about who I am. My identity feels great. I feel more, instead of feeling suppressed, I actually feel elevated to really stand up for who we are, to be there for our people. And the activations have been a wonderful thing to see. But what I've remembered is, instead of getting caught up in the anger of all of that, is to just sometimes seek counsel. I seek counsel with an auntie of mine. And you can seek counsel with friends. You can seek counsel with whānau. You can actually seek counsel when you're sitting in the ngahere. And you're right. Often when people come at you with some, it's often theirs to own. But it's always good to whakarongo. It's good to listen. After whakarongo is to listen with all of your being. And it's a great time to do that leading into Matariki. And we're lucky. We're lucky because we get, culturally, there's so many different New Years and ways to celebrate. You have the traditional New Year, 31st of December going into the 1st of January. You have Chinese New Year, you have Ramadan, you have Matariki. There's all these beautiful moments to reset. And people often get, a little bit stuck. Just know that you can reset. You can reset many times through the year. I mean, Tuihana who sits here today was a very different Tuihana in December. He was a very different Tuihana from last July, last Matariki. So just know that you might set some goals, and I'd only suggest you set 1 or 2, but they may change and you may actually achieve that like that. And then you're like, actually, I can set another. Be kind to yourselves. And in your workplace, because often I get asked, but how do we apply this in your workplace? You could come together as a team. You could have team goals. You could come together and have kaihakere. It doesn't, yes, for Matariki, but you could do that once a month. Bringing your whole self to work. People often talk about that. What does that really mean? But there's opportunities, I think, in all our workspaces to really show up, to be who we want to be in our full light of ourselves. So in your workplaces, you could have kai. Right? You could have waita sessions. There's so many things that you can do. There's so many things that you can do to celebrate Matariki. Cut out stars, hang them in your offices. And you may have heard this, and I may have shared this before, but for those that have lost loved ones, as the waka is descending into Matariki, it is throwing out the net and capturing all of those that have passed. And as it ascends into Matariki, as Matariki appears in the sky, the net is let loose, and those that have passed then appear as stars in the sky. Isn't that beautiful? Now, I've probably gone a bit all over the place today, but I just hope that you've managed to find a gift in all of this kōrero today. And I'd love to hear from each of you how this kōrero is capturing your heart or capturing your head or making you reflect at the moment, or is it? What's the takeaway? What's the kupu that you leave this session with today? Because you've made time for yourselves to be here and to be present. So I thank you from my heart to your heart for being here today. I thank you from my whānau to your whānau for being here today. And if you know me, you know I often will exit sessions with a bit of a waiata. You're probably thinking, we've still got 10 minutes, But I'd love you to take those 10 minutes for yourselves and think about your goals as you go forward into the new year. And the new year is oh so bright. He kakanoa hai, iri amai, irangi atea. 'Cause I can never be lost. I am a seed, born of greatness, descended from a line of chiefs. He kakanoa hai. This morning I did a session, I did a workshop, and the word that I heard mostly was that I'm tired. I'd love a sense of belonging, and I really want some connection. That waiata reminds us that we are all great gifts, descended from ancestors who came before us, that we will have many descendants that come from us. To remember who we are. And I ask you to take this time of Matariki to do exactly that, to celebrate you, to celebrate your whānau, to celebrate your workplaces, to celebrate you. And thank you so much for being present today. And please feel free to reach out anytime. And I'm going to leave us. Oh, can I ask that each of you, please, in the chat, share with us one kupu on how you're leading today. I know a couple of people have said grounded. I can see that in the chat. But how are you leaving this session today? Ka pai? Peacefully, beautiful, nourished. He tohu pai. Ngā mihi nui. Oh, kia ora fōkama. Kia ora. Kia ora. Planning. Beautiful. These are all beautiful. And as you do that, I'm going to close this with a karakia. So bear with me for a moment because I really love this karakia. I think it's beautiful. Bear with me as I find this karakia. Okay. Thank you. Much love from me to you. Kia tauna manakitanga te mea naro ki runga ki tērā ki tēnā o tātai. Kia māhia te hua makihikihi kia toi te kupu, toi te mana, toi te aroha, toi te reo māre, kia tuturi o whakamawa kia tīna, haumie, huie, taikie. So much aroha to each of you whānau. Have a beautiful Matariki. Please celebrate it with friends and whānau. It's a wonderful time. Kia ora, much aroha. Mwah, mwah,
mwah. Wow. Ngā mihi Tuihana. It's always such a pleasure to host you and to hear you and to take time with you. And I think this is my 4th session that I've done with you. It's always takes us to just a beautiful space inside ourselves, and I'm always so thankful for you. And it's been wonderful actually to just be a participant in these webinars with you, but also to watch your journey. And I love how open you are in sharing that journey with us. And I just thank you so much.
This webinar was brought to you by Community Research. Community Research is an open access archive where you can find research and resources by and for the communities of Aotearoa. Find out more at communityresearch.org.nz.